We weren't able to, unfortunately, plan ahead for everything that's happened in the world. I have not been inside the building in almost a year. I'm pretty sure it's on mothballs right now.
That's on you for not planning ahead.
Do you own handcuffs?
Hey now.
Oh, Andy, we missed that role. Maybe that'll be. Maybe he'll be the bad cop one day.
Maybe.
Again, all right. Congrats. I want to start off the show by saying congrats to Anthony Davis. He gets selected as an All-Star. That's his 8th time, by the way. So that's really cool. We'll get to that later in the show. But of course, we got to start with the Lakers losing their 3rd straight game. They led by as many as 17 in the 3rd quarter against the Wizards. And from then on, it started to unravel. Check this out. This is from the 9:24 mark in the 3rd, the rest of the way. They're outscored by 20, 74-54. The Wizards, +9 in free throws made. And how about that number? 12 turnovers down the stretch for the Lakers. Afterwards, Kyle Kuzma discussed the brutal loss.
Obviously, there's no excuses. You don't want to lose to a, under 500 team like that. But this is the NBA, and everybody can win at any given moment. So, for us, we have to just figure it out. Just a little bit of adversity. We've had a lot of adversity over the past year and a half with this ball club, and it happens. It's life. It's all about not getting kicked down, but trying to get back up. And, we'll figure it out.
Because you guys were so good to start this year, how have you guys figured out losing? Like, is it a group that locks in more? Is it a group that...
Honestly, if I had a way to tell you the answer, man, then we wouldn't be losing, man. We're losing some tough games. It's a lot of different things. That comes down to losing a game. Look at the game like we played against Brooklyn. We dug ourselves too deep in the hole to fight back and, try to build out of it. And, tonight we had a nice amount of lead. We played around with the game a little bit. They kept fighting and willing and, started making shots. And they ended up, beating us in a tough overtime game, man. So many different ways and many different things you can look at to, take from each game. I don't really think you lose any game the same exact way, really. But like I said, man, it's a growing process, man. Early on we had AD and LeBron was clicking early, guys who had just came off a championship run and got a lot of great chemistry together. But, he's not here right now, so we got to do a lot of figuring it out, man, a lot of soul searching.
It's a challenge for us. It's a little adversity. I mean, the injuries and things that's going on with our team, and obviously AD being so, he's a big piece of our team. I mean, a huge piece of our team. And then you add Dennis not being out there, another ball handler, another scoring guy, another commander of our offense and our defense. It's a big blow for us. So, we're in a rough patch right now, but we'll figure it out. That's for sure.
I want to remind you guys before I ask this question. Detroit was not a fun loss in Detroit, but it was in the middle of a road trip, back to back. The Warrior game at home, MLK, 17-point lead. But I know we like to live in the moment. Is this the worst loss of the season, Brez?
Yeah, the last loss is always the worst loss. Okay. And of the 3 you chose, I would say so. When you have that lead like that and you're already shorthanded, that means other guys are really stepping up. I loved what Montrezl Harrell was doing. LeBron was doing his thing as well. KCP.
Found KCP.
21 points, right? I mean, he was hitting threes. He was good going to the basket, actually. And so I think some wasted efforts there. And the defense really did let them down. So I think that, yes, this was the worst loss of the season just because their defense had been strong, even without AD and Schroeder, and it really abandoned them last night.
AK, I think Brez brings up some great points. It's the worst loss in my eyes because it was a needed win. Yeah. Back then, they weren't needing those wins. You didn't really care. Wasn't that big of a deal, but you're missing your two of your best players. You got some guys stepping up. You're up by 17. Is it the worst, AK?
It feels like the worst because you recognize that this stretch they're going to be playing definitely without AD and for however many more games without Dennis Schroeder. You look at games that are, and this was definitely one of them. The Lakers are not a very good team, albeit playing pretty well lately. And the Lakers built up that type of lead that if they were able to just even trade baskets, they would have won that thing handily. But the offense started struggling, has been the case without AD, and then the defense was inexplicably having difficulties getting shots. They've actually done pretty well despite not having AD or Schroeder out there, but last night was one of those games that just really caught up to them.
Brez, biggest takeaway from that game?
I guess I already teased it. The defense, before last night's game, Frank Vogel goes out and talks to the media, and he's asked about the defense. They've just given a 96 in that loss to Miami. That's a good number. The Lakers still holding people under 100. Didn't come close to happening last night. I mean, good first half, but then they gave up 66 in that second half. Both the guards punctured them, 32 and 33 points from Beal and Westbrook. And Vogel did say before the game, our defense is giving us a chance. It's giving us the option, the possibility of winning these games without our second and third best player. I put the second and third in, not him. Yeah. But the defense really did kind of go away last night, inexplicably and disappointingly.
Jump in, AK.
To me, it's fatigue. This team is exhausted right now, especially LeBron. And he may insist that he's not tired. He may insist that this is just mind over matter, that it doesn't matter if he's 36, 18 seasons in, over 60,000 regular season career minutes. I will respectfully disagree. His shooting percentage from behind the arc has plummeted over the last 10 games. His turnovers, he's pushing nearly 5 per game. His decision-making at times, whether as a passer or some of the shots that he's going for, I think are suspect and out of character. And it's because he's exhausted. And I mean, all people in real life, when you are tired, you often make bad decisions. You get grouchy, you get out of character. This whole team desperately needs rest.
Yeah, biggest takeaway for me was Dennis Schroeder, guys. And I think you both bring up some great points. But that game he played with AD out, 24 points, he's right there to be the number 2. And you guys both hit on the head. You struggled defensively. He's a big part of that on the offensive end, going in all those ruts, huge stretches without anybody being able to create outside of LeBron James. He would have been that guy. All right, it doesn't get any easier, by the way, for the Lakers. Up next, it's the Jazz on Wednesday. Then 3 games at home. Dame comes to town on the Blazers. You know how well Portland plays here. And then it's Steph Curry and the Warriors. And then it's the Phoenix Suns, who are having a great year. Devin Booker and Chris Paul. They finished the first half of the schedule against the Kings. March 3rd, 4 of those teams currently in the playoffs. Jared Dudley spoke with the media on Monday and let it be known that the players are very aware of the other top teams in the league.
Any player ever tells you they don't look at other teams, they be lying to you, okay? That's the first thing. We look at everybody. You respect everyone, and so Utah kind of reminds me of that year that Atlanta had. Remember Atlanta, how, I think they, won close to almost, 55, 57 games, and the thing about 60, right? Yeah, 60 games. I would say the difference is they got a little more star power. Donovan Mitchell play, to be able to break down defense. Atlanta didn't have that. Rudy Gobert, how the way he protects the paint, Atlanta didn't have that. I think Boban, I think they're the one team they kept everyone back, right? Their chemistry level of all starters coming back. They added Favors. Favors is basically a Utah guy as it is. How many years was he there? So they didn't lose anything. Guys got a little bit better. They've been a little bit more healthier. And they're a force to be reckoned. You saw the way they play with the Clippers, and you see how they are. And so I would be shocked, though, if they don't hit a little skid here where, when it comes to games and people missing games and you lose 2 out of 3. And then that's really the biggest thing is how you deal with adversity. That's what I've noticed so far about a championship team. Where I remember last year we lost 4 in a row. There was no panic in here. No one. The locker room's still loud as could be. Guys are still confident. So we definitely take a look at that. You got to take a look at Brooklyn and their 3 stars and what they've played, and the way Joel Embiid and Doc Rivers out there in Philly. You definitely take a look at that of how Embiid's getting the ball 75% of the time, and there's no other player like Embiid in that low post getting doubles and getting fouled to the free throw line. So, and you still have the Clippers and you still have Denver here. So it's definitely going to be a handful. Everyone knows here in LA it's always hard to repeat, but I think guys are up to the job, and hopefully after this little break we'll get our second win.
Some honesty there from Jared Dudley talking about the top teams in the league and that the Lakers are well aware of who those teams are. The Jazz are one of them, and he hit it on the head. It's consistency. Coach, players, system, never a panic, and here they are once again. But this time, guys, they're ridiculous, 21-2 in their last 23 games. Brez, they got the best record in the league. They're a contender. They got a top 3 offense and defense, kind of like the Lakers did last year. What kind of jumps out at you when you watch them?
There's almost a story for every guy on that team. You got the Mike Conley resurrection year. He's been injured the last couple of years, kind of ineffective. He's playing great. Bojan Bogdanovic didn't even play in the bubble because of a season-ending wrist injury. He's come back strong. Our friend Jordan Clarkson, he might be 6th man of the year. He had 40 points off the bench last week. And, of course, their big 2 haven't even got to them yet. Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, both all-stars. Yeah. Donovan Mitchell, he's dialed it up another level. He's hitting threes left and right. He's really worked on that part of his game. He's really honed his craft behind the arc. And, of course, Gobert, for my money, the best rebounder, shot blocker in the NBA.
It's funny, Andy. You think of the Jazz, you think of that slow down, methodical, grind you out, beat you up defense. They hit like 28 threes last night. That's no longer the case.
Crazy.
Yeah.
They're just a really well-rounded, versatile team. They can beat you in a lot of different ways, like you said, Geeter, on both sides of the ball. It also feels like, too, they had a lot of chemistry issues last year. You know, once the pandemic hit and everything stopped, there was that very well-documented rift between Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. And it seems like they got a lot of stuff out on that team. And, you know, everything has been just out in the open now, and it's been put behind them, and they're better for it. And that's great for them, but that's not great for the Lakers as a team that's going to be looking to face them shorthanded.
So other than the Jazz, what team do you guys see as the biggest challenge to close out the first half of the season here? You're going to have Dame coming into town with the Blazer team that always plays well here. You got Devin Booker and Chris Paul and the Phoenix Suns, who are, what, fourth right now and right behind the Lakers. And then you're going to have a Kings team. No one really, thinks about them too much. That's going to be right before you go on break. And you're going to have Steph Curry and the Warriors.
Yeah. Did you mean to say an angry Devin Booker?
Angry Devin Booker.
Snubbed from the All-Star game. I don't quite understand it. I think Phoenix is that team that might give the Lakers some issues. Phoenix, by the way, they're in fourth place, but only a game behind the Lakers and Clippers. They are right there behind those guys. I don't even know where to start with these guys. One All-Star, Chris Paul, obviously, he's been there for a long time. Devin Booker probably should have made it too. We're starting to see some good stuff from DeAndre Ayton. He's starting to show why he was a high pick. I just like this team. I mean, it's young, it's fun, and it's going to cause some problems. Maybe Schroeder's back by then. Obviously, AD will not be.
Yeah. What about for you, AK?
It's actually also Phoenix as well. Yeah. I think everything Brez laid out, and DeAndre Ayton, he's never going to be Luka Doncic, but he's averaging a double-double, and he's a really productive player. Mikal Bridges is a quality, underrated, under-the-radar piece of that team. And also for the Lakers, it's the worst combination of quality opponent and end of the schedule before the break, where they are likely going to be running on fumes. Chris Paul is going to be up for a game against his close buddy, LeBron, and he's shown just time and time again what he can do transforming a team's culture. This is going to be a really difficult game, and it matters a lot in the standings because, like you said, they're only one game behind the Lakers. This can swing things pretty big.
You know what? Our director, Brian Bergen, one of our camera operators, Sonia, they are huge Phoenix Suns fans. They're from there. We've been laughing at them for 8 seasons. They've been at the bottom of the standings. We don't even care about them. We make fun of them. You know what? This is their time. I'm happy for them. They have a good team. Enjoy it. All right, and some more somber news. Tuesday morning, Southern California native and professional golfer Tiger Woods was injured in a single car crash in Rancho Palos Verdes. The injuries were reported to not be life-threatening, but surgery was performed after he suffered multiple leg injuries, according to his agent, Mark Steinberg. And of course, the entire sports world getting involved in social media and tweeting out their best wishes. Magic Johnson, everyone to pray for a speedy recovery, asking everyone to send the prayers out to Tiger Woods. Also, former Laker JaVale McGee as well, praying for Tiger Woods. And our thoughts and prayers are with Tiger Woods and his family. Still to come, we're talking.
Or if I'm not feeling well, then we can look at it then. But I have nothing but honest people around me. But I'm also honest with myself as well. And, me having the love for the game and me being able to be available to my teammates is more important than anything. I'm not pushing myself. I wouldn't say that. I mean, I'm going out and I'm playing the game. I mean, I'm doing my job. I'm trying to do it at a high level. But that's been a narrative around the league. I've never asked for time off or time throughout the season. And it's grown to a point where, it's not even coming from me anymore. It's just like, okay, well, what LeBron should take time off, or why is his workload at this? I've been hearing it for 5, 6, 7 years now, and I'm still, going strong. So I don't need a handout. I'm not looking for a handout. I mean, my job is to go out when I'm available, when I'm healthy, to go out and play, and that's what it's all about.
So you heard it right there from LeBron, and listen, this is a hot topic in Lakerland, and he just said it's been a hot topic for 6 or 7 years. And there are people that'll say, hey, appreciate it, and you love that he wants to get out there every night and help his team. And then there's others that are like, wait a second, he's 36. He shouldn't be leading the league in minutes in the month of February. Rest him. So what's the solution, AK? What do you want to see?
I mean, in a perfect world, I would love to see LeBron get some rest, or at minimum, just see his minutes reduced. And, whether that means finding other guys to replicate what he does, or, being willing to potentially risk some losses, which right now, frankly, are happening anyway. My concern is just with the turnaround from last season being as short as it was on the heels of a finals run, LeBron's age, that mileage, what's being expected of him over the last 10 to 15 games, it's going to eventually catch up to him. I mean, as much as LeBron is superhuman, compared to the rest of us or Mo's, the reality is he is actually a human being. And at some point you worry this is going to catch up to him. I wouldn't want to be the one to tell him that he needed to sit. I'll let like Brian do that or something like that. But I would absolutely, in a perfect world, want to see the guy rest. I think he needs it.
Brez, it doesn't help that they played 4 overtime games in the last few weeks. One of those was double OT, right?
Yeah.
So is there a solution?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Not till AD comes back, not till Schroeder comes back. I mean, LeBron is completely overloaded right now. And I give him credit for wanting to win these games against not very good teams. He's still out there logging 43 minutes like he did last night. What was the double overtime game? 47 minutes, I think he had, 46. These are crazy numbers. There's no journalism trick, Geet. AK, I know you know this one too, but if you don't like the answer to a question as a reporter, you rephrase it. And the reporters last night post-game must have rephrased 5 or 6 different times to LeBron, are you tired? His answers were, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. And maybe we're all a little tired, but I'm fine. Yeah. So I will, AK, I love that answer. We'll leave it to BK to tell LeBron that he needs to rest, because I'm not going to be the one to do it.
Remember when he was playing 30 minutes, 32, 33?
Yeah.
But the wins were coming, and they were easy. And
there were games like in the first month, I think he played 26 minutes against someone. The Lakers are up.
Would you be happy if you can come down to 34 and stick with about 34, 35?
Yeah, especially, 38's really high. He's probably in his head thinking, I'm a month from the All-Star break. Yeah. We'll have about a week's worth of rest. I know he's got to go to Atlanta and play in the game. I'm not expecting him to play, 32 minutes in the All-Star game. But that's probably what's going through his head right now, almost to the break.
All right, guys, according to reports, the Lakers are expected to waive guard Quinn Cook. This was Cook's second season with the Lakers. He shot 39% from 3 in 16 games played this season. When waived, the Lakers will have 2 open roster spots. The name that keeps popping up, Boogie Cousins, who the Lakers signed last season, has been officially waived by the Rockets. Cousins signed with the Lakers prior to last season, but suffered an ACL injury before the start of the season. Cousins was averaging close to 10 points a game, 8 boards for Houston this year. AK, love Boogie Cousins. I know he's not what he once was. Not sure where he helps this Laker team. Is he an option? What do you think?
I agree with you. I would love to see Boogie Cousins be able to resuscitate his career, because he's had awful luck the last few seasons with injuries. And at the top of the game, he was an exceptionally talented player. That being said, I don't know what role he actually fits on this team, because he's not going to take away a lot of minutes from Marc Gasol. He's not going to take away a lot of minutes from Montrezl Harrell. He's certainly not going to take away any from Anthony Davis once Davis is back. And for DeMarcus's purposes, he really needs a defined role. Like, forget whether or not the Lakers need him. I'm not exactly sure he needs the Lakers. Assuming he has other options, I would be looking for a team where I can have more of a responsibility and more of a role.
Initially I thought it'd be a good marriage. Obviously, he was here last season before, he never played for the Lakers, but the Lakers were very patient with him. Remember, he showed up with that torn ACL, and he liked being here. But then you think, who else is out there?
Well, that's a name that I wanted to ask you, because BT, Brad Turner, he's thrown this out. I've heard you throw it out. Is he a good fit, Hassan Whiteside? And how do you get him?
So, that really interests me. I think the Lakers, with their 2 positions that are open now on the roster, you need a shot blocker rebounder, and you need a guy who can maybe back up LeBron. So let's talk Hassan Whiteside first. led the league in blocks last season. Now he's being a backup guy in Sacramento. You know, the Kings going with Rashawn Holmes, who's younger. Hassan, 1 year expiring vets minimum deal. So they want to see what they got with the young guys up there. He just played last week. 26 points, 16 rebounds, and 5 block shots in a spot start for Rashawn Holmes. That was against Brooklyn. Yeah. So he can turn it up when he wants. And the Lakers don't need that 8.3 points. They don't care about that. They want more rebounds and more blocks, which if he's playing better minutes, say you get him up to 20.
Maybe he turns his career around.
Yeah, exactly. And he's inexpensive to get, making only $2.5 million or so. That's a very low NBA salary for a guy who can give you 25 minutes a game.
All right, guys, still to come. Anthony Davis made the All-Star team. Paul George, Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, Zion Williamson, and Anthony Davis. AD with his 8th All-Star selection. He'll not be playing in that game, but you know what? He's climbing up the list. 8's a nice number.
Yeah, it's deserving. I mean, obviously, he will not be there. But I thought he really did some good stuff on the court this season, and he deserves it. I mean, there was no doubt, right? I mean, he finished 4th among the front court voting. The top 3 guys go. So he was the odd man out as far as being a starter. But yeah, he's well deserving. The Lakers are a great team. You got to take at least their top 2 guys.
What about for you, AK?
Oh, I think if Anthony Davis hadn't gotten injured and missed so much time this season, he'd be a starter.
Yeah.
I think that lack of availability probably the overall fan voting and his overall positioning and stuff like that. But I mean, he's a top 5 player in the league. There's no way around this. It's not even debatable.
All right, we're gonna go All-Star snubs on the Western Conference.
Oh,
and you know the rule.
There's some.
When you say someone got snubbed, you got to take someone off. Don't be that guy that just says who got snubbed.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Nobody told me that.
You can't just add a guy. There's not enough room there. Come on.
I need a list in front of me.
Come on, buddy.
I need help.
All right, who you got as your snub, Bress?
You'll start with the West?
Yep.
Does that sound good?
Yeah, we're not going to do East yet.
It's got to be Devin Booker. I mean, we already talked about him in the show. This guy's been a fantastic player. He's played for years. I mean, this is what, his 6th season, gradually gotten better every year. Look at these numbers. I mean, the Phoenix Suns are not the 13th place team in the Western Conference. They're 4th.
Is he in his 6th year already?
Yeah, isn't that crazy? And I think he had a little bit of an adjustment period, maybe the first couple weeks of the season, and maybe voters still kind of thinking about that. And remember, it's coaches actually that determine the reserves. So I should be saying coaches maybe still think of that, but how do you not take the 2nd best player or maybe the best player?
So who are you kicking off, Zion?
I think Zion. Yeah, you know, Zion's played what? This is no joke. I looked it up earlier. 55 NBA games right around there.
Yeah.
That's not enough. I mean, I'd rather have, Kobe made it the 2nd year. Okay. Zion too. But if I had to kick someone off, it's Zion.
What about for you, AK? Who's your snub?
Mine's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander from the Thunder. I know it is hard for guys with losing records.
Team's terrible, AK.
Teams with losing records. Yeah, but he is so good. He's averaging almost 23 points a game on 50-40 shooting, almost 80% at the line. He can score anywhere on the court. He's a great assist man. He's a very good defender. He is a really good all-around player, like a future cornerstone who's having a terrific season. Obviously, the Clippers don't regret trading him for Paul George, but I don't think it's out of the question that in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's prime, he could be as good as Paul George. And I don't care what Lakers say, that is high praise.
I'm
Laker
going,
fans, I should say.
for sure. Listen, I'm going with Booker, and you're not going to like this, Chris Paul. Even though I think he's like always in the MVP conversation for what he does for teams, but I think you can only take one guy off that team. It's got to be Devin Booker. I know that hurts.
I would
hated
take Zion
saying
off, like Perez.
I like this wrinkle too, where you put one on, you got to take one off.
You got to take one off.
Can't have 13 guys.
Maybe one of these guys will fill in for Anthony Davis.
We'll see. It's got to be Booker.
All right, let's get to the East. Here are the East reserves. James Harden, our old friend Julius Randle getting his first nod. How about that? Is awesome. Jason Tatum,
nice.
Jaylen Brown. The Boston Celtics are struggling, but they get 2 guys. So you know what? Maybe Chris Paul and Devin Booker should both be on. Maybe I should shut up. Zach LaVine, Ben Simmons, and how about Vucevic making it? Brez, there's a snub that you're not happy about. Who is it?
You know, I like rewarding teams that have good records. Indy 4th in the East. Nobody on the starters or the reserves. Sabonis. You know, somewhere his dad Arvydas is fuming because his son did not make it. 2nd in the league in double-doubles.
Yeah.
He's only behind Jokic. He's ahead of some really good players for double-doubles. He was trying to audition one last time for the coaches just the other night against Minnesota, 36 points, 16 rebounds, and 10 assists.
Who are you kicking off, Vooch?
Yeah, Vooch. I mean, Orlando's just they're just not playing well. It's not a very good team.
Yeah.
Again, I like rewarding teams that are good. I understand there's good players on bad teams. Bradley Beal deserved to be in this game. Maybe not as a starter, but yeah, Vooch is gone.
He deserves to be in this game.
Yeah, he does.
Bradley Beal.
Yeah, 100%. But the team's terrible.
AK.
I'm going Trae Young. I mean,
too.
this game it's supposed to be pure entertainment. It is meaningless other than exhibition. How do you leave off a guy averaging almost 27 points a game, almost 10 assists? He throws slick, no-look passes. He's pure fun. That's all this game is supposed to be, and it's in Atlanta. How do you leave a Hawk off
That's
this
a great
roster?
call.
It's hard enough to get Atlanta Hawks fans excited about stuff as it is.
He's the 8th best scorer in the league at 28 a game, and he's third in assists. He's third in assists, and he got left off.
Plus, again, this whole thing is just supposed to be fun. Take one of the not fun guys off. Like, take
Prez is
Vucevic
right.
off.
Get Vooch out.
Yeah, Vooch.
He's a good player.
Get
He's not
Vooch out, and Trae Young and Sabonis go one-on-one.
There you go.
That's what I'm talking about.
Trey's probably going to win that one.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm with you guys.
Yes, he will.
Sabonis got him down.
I'm going to change my vote. Yeah, AK, good argument.
Listen, both guys definitely deserving, no doubt about it. All right, King James with his biggest snub, and he agrees with Prez. Devin Booker, most disrespected player in our league. Simple as that. By the way, he followed up with Dame Dalla, number 2. Media all-star darling Jared Dudley agreeing. No, we're not doing that, but Dudley agreed that Devin Booker.
Yeah, it's hard not to.
But we're not doing that.
Yeah, that's an oversight.
Montrezl Harrell had his best game offensively for the Lakers and lost to the Wizards. 26 points, 9 rebounds while shooting 10 of 17 from the field. He was subbed out with under 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, did return. Here's Trez on not playing down the stretch.
It's not really up to me, man. I just do, what he's asking me to do, man. When I'm out there on the floor, the minutes that I'm out there on the floor, I go 110%, give him my all until that whistle blows and, my sub comes to the game. As far as, closing out this game, like I said, that's neither here nor there, man. So.
Hey, Frank, was there any consideration to putting Trez in at the end of the game?
Yes.
Given the, what was the choice there?
Yeah, for sure. But Robin Lopez is huge, and like I said, they have two dominant offensive players having huge nights, and we want as much size that we could get at the rim for defensive purposes.
Lakers, a lot of stretches, guys, where they could not get the offense going. Like I said, he's removed with 6 minutes and 47 seconds left in that fourth, and we never saw him again. Hindsight's 2020. AK, I'll start with you. Would you have liked to see Trez stay in?
Yeah, I would have. He was having a really good game.
Or maybe come back in after his 5th foul or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, for a team like I've talked about a lot during this show that is dealing with tons of fatigue, Montrezl Harrell is one of those guys that really does never seem tired. He is just an endless source of energy, and he was having a really good game. I suppose Frank Vogel could have been concerned about him giving up some size to Robin Lopez. I would have taken that chance anyway. I mean, in a game where your team is struggling, you want one of the guys who actually is playing really well. I would have liked to see him play more.
Brett, what's the number one thing he brings to the table? Energy. And that's one thing the Lakers seem to be lacking, especially on offense. Yeah. A lot of standing around. A lot of kind of, okay, we're going to respect LeBron and watch him, and he's doing great stuff. But I like to see a little bit more of the Trez pick and roll. I thought that was going good last night. And yeah, I would have liked to see him get back in, maybe in that overtime period when things kind of started going askew a little bit, just to create a little more drive, a little more hustle for this team that